Last year, I did the final 100 kilometers of the Portuguese route on the Camino de Santiago in Spain, and I'm going back again this year. My name is Eunice Uni Kim. It's very nice to meet you. And here are 5 things that I did this past week to prepare for the Camino de Santiago, episode 1. Number 1, I secured a friend. Last year I did this solo, and now my really good friend Devin is going to be coming along with me, and I'm very excited to be the one that has a little bit more knowledge and confidence about the experience because I enjoy that dynamic in a friendship. I also enjoy receiving it as well. And I really love the quality time that I get with friends, especially friends who don't live close by. And these long stretches of time that we have together, we get an opportunity to build, to create a new experience, but also to catch up on each other's lives. And it's such a blessing. I normally hike solo, and I usually go pretty slow. I'm generally at 2.3 miles per hour, according to all the stats that I get from my phone. And I do worry a little bit about whether or not someone wants to keep my pace. And I think going into this, we're just going to have a conversation about how we might have different paces and we might be going through large stretches of the Camino solo, even if we meet up with each other at the end of the day, and how that's going to be okay. I had some friends who I met along the way the first time I did the Camino who definitely were a lot faster than me. They were getting into the town 1 to 2 hours ahead of me. And I thought it was really sweet that they decided to stay behind, not stay behind, but they decided to wait for me and to do our accommodations together. It is a top of mind that people go at different paces, but I can't really compromise here. I enjoy my breaks, I stretch quite a bit, and being able to absorb the world at my own pace is something that I really enjoy about hiking. I'm excited to share that with a friend and to also have our own adventures along the way, even if we are in tandem. Second thing that I did was I found a local trail that is easy for me to complete before I start work. Last year, when I was training for the Camino de Santiago, I explored a lot of different trails all around the Bay Area, and that was an incredible experience. But this year, I want to focus a little bit more on improving my cardiovascular health because it's not the best, as you can imagine, as someone who goes 2.3 miles per hour. I'm trying to fit in 3 hikes during the week, Monday through Friday, and then doing one really big hike on the weekend, and maybe 2, but really, realistically, just 1. This past week, I went to this local trail with my cousin Michael, and I think we're going to be doing it a few more times. It was into a canyon, so we went half a mile down, and then it was a straight half a mile back up. It was indeed a challenge that I am excited to do again. What's interesting about doing this hike with my cousin Michael is that his approach to fitness is about progression, making those incremental changes and seeing your progress and your improvement in doing those actions over time. I'm more of the only way out is through sort of situation, and that's why I've taken to hiking so well, is because once I'm on the trail, I'm I can't turn back. I just got to keep going forward unless I need to take a poo. It's nice to have someone with a different attitude towards fitness than I do, because I think it's a little bit kinder on my body, and I get to see the progress with more specificity. Because normally when I see progress, I'm wow, I did this hike a couple of months ago and it was really hard. And this time it's not as hard. And yeah, that is definitely one way of seeing progress, but it's several months of time in between. Hopefully we'll be seeing progress more on a weekly basis with this local hike. The third thing that I did this past week was I purchased some merino wool socks. Now, I already have one pair that I wear to death, and I actually took with me to Spain last year. I have a couple of other socks that are meant for hiking, but they're kind of like an acrylic blend or a little bit too big. But I wanted something that I would feel really comfortable being in for several hours, and also enough pairs to possibly swap out my socks in the middle of a hike, especially if it is raining, which it will be when I go to Spain this year. But also if there's a lot of moisture in my shoe because of sweat. And one of my big goals doing the Camino last year was to avoid any major foot injury. I was constantly checking my feet, even while I was like in the middle of the trail, let them air out for 10 minutes, take off my socks, and just let the moisture dissipate. One of the reasons why I do that is because I am diabetic, and it is really important for people with diabetes to maintain good foot health for a lot of reasons. And I am not a medical professional, so I will not be going that deeply into it right now. It is really important to take really good care of your feet if you are diabetic. And when you are on the trail, you will come across many, many people who will show you their very, very gnarly foot injuries. And I will not be one of them. So I bought these socks, 2 pairs, the REI brand, and they're a longer crew sock version of the one that I got before. The other pair that I got were Darn Toughs, and they were in a butter yellow with red accents. So I'm very excited for these purchases. And merino socks are not cheap. I paid a pretty penny for these, and I surely will get my money's worth. The fourth thing that I did this past week was I went on the Crosstown Trail in San Francisco. I've actually done this trail quite a few times. I did it a lot in preparation for my trip last year. And after coming back from Spain, I think I want to do it even more. I feel like the conditions of the San Francisco Crosstown Trail are very similar to what you will encounter, at least on the Portuguese route, like the amount of paved versus dirt paths, as well as the opportunity to get a latte in the middle of the day. There is a lot of elevation, there's a lot of stairs, and it is definitely good conditioning on the glutes. Though I'm on my feet quite a bit, I sometimes, when I'm on these very long hikes, get calluses on my big toe. Now, I just talked about how it's really important to keep an eye out on your toesies if you're a diabetic like me. Doesn't mean that I don't get blisters, because I did when I did the Crosstown Trail. My big toe will sometimes get a blister / callus at its that major joint. From what I can tell from sleuthing on the internet, it's probably because my arches are flatter than they should be, and also probably fatigued and therefore collapsing when I'm in the middle of a really big hike. I really want to be working on strengthening the arches of my feet going forward. And it's not a toe box issue, just so you know. I have super, super wide feet, and so I have the appropriate footwear for them. Don't you worry. It's just that they're just not very strong. So I've got homework. The fifth thing that I did this past week is I talked to my dietitian about doing the Camino de Santiago. And I have been working with her for over a year, and so she helped me with it last time. But this time, I have a lot more information about how my body handles this amount of stress. One of the things that I work on with my dietitian is this relationship with food. Really, in this scenario, food is fuel. And it also means that I now need to eat breakfast. Last year, I didn't really eat breakfast on the trip, and that's because I don't eat breakfast in my daily life. And I have found that when I am pushing myself physically, really just helps to have something in the tank before I start. I know that sounds so silly because, yeah, of course breakfast is gonna help, but when you're someone who doesn't eat breakfast, it feels gratuitous to put something inside of you that's not just like a glass of water. And that's harder than you would imagine, because it's actually a pretty big lifestyle change for me. So yeah, this time I'm gonna be eating breakfast. Another thing that I was worried about prior to the last time I did the trip, based off of what people were sharing on social media, was kind of the food that was available. And disclaimer, I don't really eat seafood except for octopus, which I really enjoyed. Aside from the seafood, it seemed like so much of what people were eating or what was included in pilgrim meals were very carb heavy. And so I did think that I would have to actively plan to add more protein into my diet there because it really just helps stabilize my blood sugar so that I don't go hypoglycemic. I drank a lot of protein shakes because the types of protein-infused foods available in Spain somehow very abundant and simultaneously decadent. Is there anything else? Oh, yes. This time I do the Camino, I actually really want to enjoy myself. And by that, I mean, I want to not feel so exhausted by the time I get into each of these towns so that I have more energy to explore. Part of my short-term goals is to increase my muscle mass so that I am better able to support and get through the hiking part a little bit more efficiently. In order to do this, I am eating more protein. I've already talked about protein quite a bit, but it doesn't come natural to me to want to eat a lot of protein. Having my dietitian work with me to have that as one of my main goals in preparation for this big trip. It's very helpful. It's very helpful. Those were the 5 things I did this past week to prepare for the Camino de Santiago. Actually, I did way more. But, maybe I'll save that for future episodes. I do plan on posting more content because I got a lot of questions about how to approach this hike from my friends when I shared my journey on social media. So now that I'm doing it again, I might as well catalog it a little bit better. My big hike is in November. It's going to be the very end of November through the first week of December. And I am so excited. I'm so excited.